Hi, I'm Stephanie Rubletz. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about how to add a zipper into a tote bag. Alright, so I have a friend who went to Mexico for Christmas. I know, right? Lucky! And this is not the first time she's been to Mexico. She has a daughter that lives down there, so the last time she was in Mexico, she bought this super cute tote bag that she wanted to use for going to the beach and throwing all of her beach things in, but she didn't want to risk like throwing her bag down, losing her wallet, losing her sunscreen and whatever, so she wanted to put a zipper in. Now, she brought me the bag, she brought me a zipper, and I was putting it all together and I thought, maybe you'd like to see how I did this. All right, so here's the bag, super cute. It's your basic tote with a really like kind of stringy handle. It's woven fabric. So I am going to have to do a seam that is gonna be visible on the outside to put the zipper in, but it won't be super visible, so I'm not too worried about it. Now, unfortunately, the zipper that my friend gave me is a open at the bottom zipper that you would put in like a hoodie or a jacket. So we're gonna work around that. Now I also have this fabric that matches the zipper pretty nice that I can use to make a flange around the zipper. And I also have some interfacing that I'm going to use to reinforce the fabric. So as you can see, this zipper is the exact same length as the bag. And so because of that, and because we're gonna have to make it so the zipper doesn't open at the bottom, I'm going to have to stick like a tab sort of on the bottom end of the zipper. All right, so I've squared up my purple fabric and I'm going to cut 2 strips of 4 inches wide, and this is going to help me create the flange on either side of the zipper. It's not like 100% necessary. I could just slap the zipper in, but this will just make it look a little bit more finished and a little bit more intentional, like the zipper was always meant to be there. Now I've also cut a small piece of fabric that I'm going to use for my pull tab. After squaring up my interfacing, I'm going to cut strips that are 3 3/4 inches wide so that they're just a little bit smaller than the purple strips that I cut. And I'm just going to give my purple strips an extra pressing just to make sure that they are super nice and flat. And I'm going to go ahead and follow the manufacturer's instructions to adhere my interfacing to the purple strips and also to that little piece of fabric that I'm using for the zipper pull. Now I'm layering some interfacing on to the small piece that I cut for my zipper pull. I'm probably gonna have to trim this piece down, but for right now, I'm just trying to reinforce the fabric. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold in one long edge and both short edges of my purple pieces, and I'm going to press them in. This is because I'm gonna fold this edge around to do the bottom side of the zipper later on. So I just want those edges pre-folded so that everything will be nice and tidy and will be tucked in. Because this is an open-ended zipper, I am gonna have to sew over the zipper, which is not ideal. And so I might kind of wind up with a few like hanky stitches, but it is what it is. We're just gonna make it work as best we can. Next, I trimmed down the fabric for the zipper tab, which was the width of the zipper plus a little bit extra for seam allowance, and I'm going to sew down those side seams. Now I've clipped the inside corners and I'm just trimming the edges to have as little seam allowance as possible just to make it easier for me to turn this out. In hindsight, I probably could have gone without putting interfacing on this. I mean, yeah, it's going to take some wear, but it made it so difficult to turn this out. And I'm not really sure that the strength that it's going to give the fabric is really worth it, but who knows? After turning that out with my fingers, I just use a knitting needle to get right into the corner and make sure that it's nice and square. All right, now I'm just folding in the outside edges and tucking them inside the little pocket that I've made there. And because they keep wanting to pop out, I'm just going to pop a pin in there so that I can press them really quick because finger pressing just wasn't quite enough here. All right, now that that pocket is all turned in and the edges are all nice and tidy, I can slip that onto the end of my zipper. And I'm gonna sew all the way around that little pocket square. So I've got my long purple pieces here, and I'm taking the edge that I did not fold, and I am lining up that raw edge with the raw edge of the zipper. And I'm laying that purple piece on top of the zipper so then I can go over with a zipper foot and run a line of stitching right next to the zipper teeth to install the zipper. All right, so that row of stitching is on, and now when I fold that over, you can see that that's going to reveal the zipper. Then I'm going to flip that over, and I can fold that edge up that we had previously folded and pressed, and I can line that up on the underside of the zipper. And then when I top stitch all around that, all of the edges will be completely folded in. So what I'm going to wind up with here is a completely finished flange on both sides of the zipper. So there will be absolutely no raw edges. It will basically look like a completed unit. And then what that will allow me to do, since there's no lining in the bag that I'm attaching this to or anything, I'll just be able to put this on, and that will leave no raw edges anywhere. Because this zipper is an afterthought, you kind of have to think of it as its own complete piece that's then being put onto the previous complete piece. As you can see here, I didn't account for the length that I was going to lose at the end of my zipper by putting on that pull tab. So I'm just folding the fabric in just a wee bit more so that my fabric is lining up with the end of my zipper tape. And I know that I need to do this because my zipper tape is exactly the length of the opening of the bag. All right, that's all pinned out now. I'm going to go run a row of top stitching along the 3 open edges of this zipper flange. All right, there you go. It's all stitched on. So I'm gonna go now off camera and I'm going to do the other side exactly the same. All right, both sides are complete, and now it's time to install it into the bag. So I'm going to turn the bag inside out. I'm going to line up the top of the bag with the height of the zipper. And so basically, even if the bag's laying completely flat, if the zipper kind of pops up from the position where I sew it, it won't be sticking up above the little strings that attach the handle. Now, really, it's personal preference where you position the zipper in the height of the bag. You could absolutely stitch it right to the top, but because there's kind of the nice scallopy edge where all of the strings come off, I didn't want to sort of compete with that part of the design. And after all, the bag was designed without this component in it, so I want it to look as it did when my friend bought it and what attracted her to it. So I'm trying not to mess with that as much as I possibly can. So I'm just going to continue lining up my zipper with the edge of the bag, and I'm going to pin all the way down. As you can see, I keep lifting it up just to check and make sure that I'm keeping everything nice and straight. All right, now that I have that pinned, I'm going to run a row of stitching down next to my folded edge away from my zipper. So you can see where I put my row of stitching there. So that's actually, once you fold everything right side out, that's actually going to position the zipper kind of in the bag a bit. Now to get the other side attached, I need to open the zipper so that I can fold it around to the other side of the bag. And I'm going to follow the exact same process of lining my teeth up with the edge, pinning it out, and then sewing it on. All right, so I have both sides sewn on, and I'm just going to turn the bag right side out. And I just have to sort of wriggle the zipper pull through because it was inside out. And now I am able to open and close the bag. And as you can see, there is that visible row of stitching on the outside. There's really no way around that, but the rest of the zipper component is pretty unobtrusive. You can't really see it until you open up the handles. There we go, all ready for Mexico. All right, I hope that tutorial was helpful for you. If it was, make sure you give it a thumbs up. That really does help my channel out, and I really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, subscribe down below. That's all I've got for you this week, so I will see you next week. Okay, I know I need to not say that, because that sounds ridiculous. Boss. I bet you didn't know that like 80% of my recording is waiting for noisy vehicles to drive in front of my house. What else was I gonna say?